اللي رح يشارك بهاي الجلسة اللي بتناقش دور الدبلوماسية الاقتصادية في دعم النمو وتعزيز الشراكات الدولية سعادة السفير بيير كريستوف شاتس ياسافاس سفير الاتحاد الأوروبي لدى الأردن. ويلكم سير، تفضل. سعادة السفير مانيش تشوهان السفير الهندي في الأردن الهندي، وسعادة السفير سامر النبر مدير دائرة الشؤون الأوروبية في وزارة الخارجية وشؤون المغتربين، ومدير الجلسة السيد عاصم العبابنة مدير الدائرة الاقتصادية في وزارة الخارجية وشؤون المغتربين. تفضلوا ضيوفنا الكرام على المسرح. يس كمل بليز، تفضلوا يلا. يلا ابتدينا الجلسة الرابعة والختامية. يس 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 تفضل. طبعا رح يلتحق سيد سامر النبر معنا. رح نبلش هذا اللقاء مع سعادة السفير بيير كريستوف وسعادة السفير مانيش تشوهان. تفضل سيد عاصم، اهلا وسهلا فيك، المسرح لإلكم. يلا
Ambassador Nader will be joining us shortly. Did he go back to the ministry? He had to, yeah. Yeah, you're keeping him busy, yeah? Trying my best. Should we start? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellencies, thank you so much for joining us. I would like to start by thanking the association for their kind invitation and for arranging this wonderful and timely conference. We heard good news today about the cessation of hostilities. Maybe you can touch upon that. Ambassador Naber will be joining us shortly, but I think we should start. واسمحوا لي أتحدث باللغة العربية. الشكر الجزيل والموصول لجمعية رجال الأعمال الأردنيين على تنظيم هذا المؤتمر اللي أتى بوقت مثالي حقيقة اليوم 8/4. ومعنا أصحاب السعادة من السفراء سفير الاتحاد الأوروبي وسفير الهند وسعادة السفير سامر النبر مدير الإدارة الأوروبية في وزارة الخارجية راح يلتحق فينا قريبا. وأبدأ إذا تسمحوا لي مع سعادة سفير الاتحاد الأوروبي. وإحنا كنا في نشاط مستمر خلال الشهرين الماضيين بيوروبيان تور اللي حكى عنها معالي وزير الاستثمار اليوم، شملت 9 عواصم أوروبية، جولة في منتهى الأهمية. وكان في مفروض مؤتمر للاستثمار أردني أوروبي ينعقد الشهر الجاري، لكن تم تأجيله أو إعادة الجدولة، وإن شاء الله راح ينعقد قبل نهاية هذا العام. فبنحب نسمع من سعادة السفير على الدبلوماسية الاقتصادية الأوروبية بالمملكة وعلاقتها الوثيقة والاستراتيجية مع الأردن وتطلعاتنا للمؤتمر الاستثماري اللي سينعقد بشكل مشترك بيننا في خلال الأشهر المقبلة. تفضل سعادة السفير.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you to JBA, of course, and it's good to see so many friends, as well as colleagues, diplomats and European diplomats. You know, the European Union has a long friendship with Jordan. We have been developing a cooperation portfolio over decades, and this cooperation portfolio is very diverse, from our support to the health sector, to the education sector, to the Syria refugee crisis, to culture, to education. But looking forward, what we would like to do also to tackle the challenges of a modern economy is also to facilitate and increase the trade relations between the EU and Jordan. And we would like indeed to use investments, public and private investment, to strengthen our relationship. So it's no surprise if when His Majesty visited Brussels for the last time to inaugurate a strategic and comprehensive partnership, more than half of the money that was pledged is money, resources that should be leveraged in terms of investment. And this is also the purpose of this conference that you alluded to, the Jordan EU Investment Conference that we wanted to organize this month on the 21st of April, and that has been rescheduled. The fact that it has been rescheduled is very simple to explain. This is going to be a unique opportunity, and we should not spend it in a different way. We should not spoil this opportunity. We need to maximize the level of European participation. And we thought, together with our friends, our Jordanian hosts, that organizing a conference in the middle of a war, with limited flights from Europe, with limited logistical facilities, and with, amidst a war that has damaged the reputation of the region, not of Jordan, but of the region at large, is not the best circumstances. So this is why we came to the conclusion that it's better to reschedule it for the end of the year, and we'll bring some political leaders in the meantime to address the political dimension of this investment conference, because an investment conference of this ambition has both a business dimension, but also a political message to carry, a political message of support, the acknowledgement that Jordan is a resilient country, and in fact has demonstrated an extraordinary resilience over the last weeks at its own costs. So this is the positive message that we want to convey, and this is why we'll try to bring a number of political figures and ministers in the coming weeks to carry this message. And in doing so, we will keep the momentum, because Minister Abu Ghazaleh was referring earlier this morning to the roadshow, to the efforts that he and other members of the government have deployed to reach out to the private sector in Europe by visiting many capitals, Berlin, Paris, Amsterdam, Brussels, Dublin, Madrid, you name it, Rome. He has Zagreb, Warsaw. So the government of Jordan has paid no effort to reach out directly to the private sector in Europe, and we want to keep this momentum to make sure that the investment conference that we will organize by the end of the year can harness all those results. Last point, obviously part of the message is about investment opportunities. It's not a political gathering. And therefore, the government of Jordan has, throughout its roadshow, tried to demonstrate to European investors that there is business to make in a safe environment, and that the business opportunities that it has to offer are profitable for the European investors. Another dimension was to say that you know, the government of Jordan is doing its utmost to offer an environment that is conducive for business in Jordan. That means simplified rules, that means no double taxation, that means single entry point, that means incentives, a predictable legal framework for doing business. And this reform agenda will continue. So as I said, before the end of the year, we'll have the opportunity to meet Jordanian business, European business, to discuss opportunities, concrete opportunities. What we see, what the EU is interested in is primarily water, energy, digital. Those are the main, strategic priorities that we see when it comes to investment in Jordan. With the launch of the National Conveyance Project, within weeks, you will send, as Jordan, a very powerful message to the investment community. It means that Jordan can afford a project of this ambition. When it comes to energy, you know that the current crisis of commodity prices highlights the importance of pursuing a transition to renewable green energy, including green hydrogen. In Europe, you will find off-takers, you will find customers for a product like green hydrogen. So we do believe in this sector in Jordan. And when it comes to digital and telecommunication, and it's an issue that brings Manish and I together, here we're talking about something that goes even beyond Jordan and EU, that connects the markets between the EU, Jordan, and India and beyond in the Indo-Pacific. So this is why we will take the opportunity of this panel also to address the question of the corridor, the economic corridor that brings together the EU, India, and the Middle East, and we'll try also to reflect on what it means for Jordan in terms of dividends, in terms of how Jordan can make the best possible use of this mega project. Thank you, and sorry for being long.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Thank you. Appreciate it. But before going to the IMEC issue, we would like to hear من سعادة السفير الهند عن يوجد العديد من الاستثمارات الهندية في المملكة، واستثمارات حقيقة ناجحة ومرحب فيها. كيف ترون سعادة السفير دور السفارات في تعزيز الدبلوماسية الاقتصادية؟ وبعد ذلك سنعود بالتأكيد لموضوع الممرات اللوجستية.
Thank you. See, India-EU cooperation, you can see here. Thank you so much, Ambassador, and also thank you to the panelists, some extraordinary colleagues, and I have been privileged to the last couple of years to work with. So thank you also to the Jordanian Business Association, for organizing this. One of the fascinating things about today's event is the day itself, which you referred to. So we do not know how you arrived at this perfect day today. How did you know? So please also, during the course of this day, please tell us, how did you know that today will be the right day?
We should ask the director, Mr. Tariq.
And if you knew this, why didn't you tell us earlier? So, but thank you, and also our apologies, because we are the last, and naturally we are standing or sitting between you and the lunch. But it's a very important topic, and I think I'm grateful also to Ambassador Pierre for sharing his experience. Actually, since you spoke about the embassies, for us a very important part is how, the interaction with our colleagues. And I think Ambassador Pierre and other colleagues have been extraordinarily supportive. And it also is a tribute to Jordan, where I think we feel very comfortable, and also the engagement that we have here with a very diverse spectrum. And in the midst, even in this very volatile period, Jordan stood out as a very stable place, and it has been actually very, very significant for us, even in terms of the movement of people from here to that part of the world. It was not easy, but all through this period, not just for people living in Jordan, but in this region, And Jordan stood out because we were able to get several of our countrymen from the region actually back to India. And I think some of them actually also used this connection between Amman and Mumbai to go further beyond to that part of the world. So Jordan's resilience, which Ambassador Pierre referred to, was very much in evidence in the last few weeks. For us, the backdrop itself is a civilizational relationship, and it goes so far back that we're basically building on what we have. And as an embassy, if the economic diplomacy essentially is about people-to-people ties, I have people present here who have studied in India and who actually form the basis of very deep-rooted ties that we have here. And the visit of Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi in December 2025 was a watershed moment for us, because it was also the 75th year of a more contemporary relationship. But it also, when we speak of economic diplomacy or any diplomacy, we're basically implementing our leader's vision. And the vision that was given to us at that time was, to strengthen the people-to-people ties, to bring, the entire relationship closer in terms of so many avenues that are there for us to cooperate. We already have very strong economic relationship, and Mr. Sanal Kumar, who was present here, is also an embodiment of this movement of people and businesses and how deeply integrated we are. But like in all cases with us, there is so much potential to build upon, and this is something that we wish to do over the next few years with all our partners. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Moving forward to His Excellency Ambassador النابر, نريد أن نستمع منكم سعادة السفير. كثر الحديث في الآونة الأخيرة عن الدبلوماسية الاقتصادية والدور المطلوب من الدبلوماسية الاقتصادية، وهنالك خلط أحيانا بحصر الدور الدبلوماسية الاقتصادية بوزارات الخارجية وبالسفارات. المطلوب جهد يبدو متكامل من كافة الجهات المعنية بهذا الملف، بالملف الاقتصادي وملف التنمية وملف النمو. وأنت سعادة السفير من السفراء الذين عملوا في سفارة ربما اقتصادية طابعها الغالب. نستمع سيدي من تجربتكم في عمل الدبلوماسية الاقتصادية ودور وزارات الخارجية، دور السفارات تحديدا في تحقيق الأهداف الاقتصادية للدول بشكل عام وللمملكة بشكل خاص.
شكرا جزيلا سعادة السفير على هذه التقدمة. عسل بك.
مع انه سيدي انا المفروض احكي عن الموضوع هذا، بس
انت
لجأنا لكم سعادة السفير.
بالعكس تماما، انا الاحظ الفرق النوعي بالنسبة للدائرة الاقتصادية في وزارة الخارجية من الوقت الذي تسلمتم به دفة القيادة سعادة السفير، وهذا يشهد عليه القاصي والداني. لكن بالعودة إلى موضوع دور السفارات أو دور وزارة الخارجية، هو تحديدا دور وزارة الخارجية دور كما قال دولة الرئيس في وصفه عن الدبلوماسية الاقتصادية، هو دور أساسي تطلع به السفارات، بالنظر أنه كل الاقتصادات لها national champions، ونحن نشهد العودة إلى الماضي. اقتصاد حر نعم، لكن هناك أبطال وطنيين. نحن لدينا شركات وطنية نعتز بها، وهي أبطالنا الوطنية سواء في قطاعات الدواء أو في قطاعات الطاقة أو في قطاعات الأسمدة، وهذه جزء من دبلوماسيتنا أن نروج للاقتصاد الوطني وأبطالنا our national champions. ففعلا هذه سعادة السفير نقطة أساسية تفضلتم بها. أول اجتماع لي في سنغافورة لم يكن مع مسؤول حكومي، أصلا تحتاج أنت والعارفون بالأمر حوالي شهر بين تقديم أوراق اعتمادك لتصبح كوشر بالنسبة للدولة المضيفة، أو لتصبح حلالا بالنسبة للدولة المضيفة. فهذا الأمر استدعاني أن أطلب أول لقاء لأكبر شركة سنغافورية مستثمرة في الأردن، CEO تبع شركة بيجو، ديفيد جولينغ، وهو رجل في الثلاثينات من عمره، وشاب صغير. استغرب جاي عليه ببدلة وبهندامي هو لابس تي شيرت وجينز ممزع، وحقيقة كان لقاء طريف للغاية. هو نظرة الاستغراب في عيونه، وبيقول وهو حائر ماذا يأتي هذا السفير لي بهندامه بربطة عنقه. مختصر الحديث سألته عن عمله في الأردن، وهي شركة أنشئت بال2018 في الأردن خلال زيارة جلالة الملك إلى سنغافورة بال2018. كان هناك فرصة لبيجو BIGO. هذه الشركة كانت تعمل ولا زالت في الفيديو ستريمينج مثل اليوتيوب، لكن اليوتيوب تبعت سنغافورة. كان عندهم بضع مئات، والآن عندهم أكثر من 1200 موظف في الأردن. 1200 موظف في الأردن، مع مكاتب في إربد، ومكاتبهم الرئيسية في العبدلي. فأنا رحت وقلت له كيف أداء الشركة عندكم في الأردن؟ هل أنتم راضون؟ قال لي بالطبع راضون، ونحن نتطلع إلى المزيد من الاستثمار في الأردن، وأن ندير كل المينا ريجن، شمال إفريقيا والشرق الأوسط من المملكة. فهذا تحديدا كان vote of confidence. قلت له ممكن تحكي هذا عن تجربتك هذه بالقطاع الأعمال السنغافوري؟ قال لي طبعا ممكن. تناول الخط ورفع الخط على الفايس بريزيدنت تاعه، وقال له بالحرف الواحد، قال له بتروح بترافق السفير النبر في كل لقاءاته. فهذا بالنسبة لي كان يعني نوع من الثقة بالاقتصاد الأردني، ثقة بالمهندس الأردني، ثقة بالكفاءات الأردنية. هذا لما بيطلع من شخصية عاملة واسم علم في سنغافورة غير لما يطلع من سفير أردني. ما حدا بيحكي عن زيت وعكر، مش هيك؟ فبالمحصلة صارت هذه التجربة بحيث انه مش بس اصبح يرافقني نائب الرئيس التنفيذي لبيجو في كل لقاءاتي وفي حديثي للشركات السنغافورية، او في اللي هي المظلة التكنولوجية للشركات في سنغافورة، بل اصبح كمان هناك اتفاقية للحضانة في مكاتب بيجو لأي شركة سنغافورية ترغب في فتح مكاتبها في الأردن، أن تستضيفها شركة بيجو ل6 أشهر مدفوعة الأجر في مكاتبهم، وتحظى بالرعاية القانونية والأجهزة وكل ما يحتاجونه بحيث يفتحوا الفرع لهم في المملكة. وهذه أسفرت عن 3 تجارب ناجحة وشركات فتحت من وراء هاي الانكيوبيشن اجريمنت. فهو فعلا زي ما حكيت سعادة السفير، هي قطاع خاص مع قطاع عام، شراكة يد بيد. وهذا لم يتح لي من خلال لقاء مسؤول سنغافوري، وإنما شركة سنغافورية. وبالعكس طبعا شركاتنا لما كانت تجينا تطلب التسويق كنا نحن نفتح لهم الباب ونشبكهم، لكن للحقيقة أقول هذا بشيء من التواضع. من كل 100 تشبيكة لا تشبيكة واحدة تنجح. لهالدرجة الليفل اوف فرستريشن مرات يعني بيصيبك نوع من الإحباط لما تشبيكة ورا تشبيكة، أسبوع ورا أسبوع، ولا شيء طالع منه الكلام. لكن لما 1 من 100 بتزبط كويس على مدار ال3 أو 4 سنوات اللي لي هناك، يعني هاي معدل 1.5% سعادة السفير، وهو شيء الحمد لله رب العالمين أفتخر به.
شكرا سعادة السفير. حقيقة تجربة ثرية، وهذا مهم نسمع موضوع التشبيك مع القطاع الخاص، سواء من خلال السفارات المتواجد تمثل دولها في الخارج، أو من خلال التواصل المباشر الوطني عبر شركائنا الوطنيين. في دور مهم للسفارات، سواء في ترويج الاستثمار، في ترويج السياحة، في منافذ التصديرية للمنتجات الوطنية. وأيضا سعادة السفير الاتحاد الأوروبي تطرق لموضوع الشراكة مع القطاع الخاص في مؤتمر الاستثمار الأردني الأوروبي، وهو مكون في منتهى الأهمية. وكنا حريصين الحقيقة أنه رجال الأعمال وقطاع الأعمال يستمع لوجهة نظر سفراء مخضرمين على التشبيك مع القطاع الخاص وآليات التشبيك مع القطاع الخاص. إذا ممكن سعادة السفير من خلال التحضيرات اللي كانت قائمة للمؤتمر اللي سيعقد إن شاء الله قبل نهاية هذا العام، التشبيك مع القطاع الخاص ودور القطاع الخاص. الجولة الأوروبية الوزارية اللي شملت 9 عواصم أوروبية كان فيها انخراط engagement عالي مع القطاع الخاص. كيف يمكن تمتين هذا الاشتباك مع القطاع الخاص واستقطاب القطاع الخاص للشراكات الاقتصادية، وأن لا تقتصر فقط على government to government. نستمع منكم سعادة السفير لهذا الأمر.
Thank you. I think Ambassador Samer gave a very, very good example of how you can use your excellent diplomacy, because the Ministry for Foreign Affairs in Jordan is well known at international level for its professionalism. I'm not saying this because I have something to ask from my friend. Just saying, you go to the United Nations and you know it's Jordan is recognized for its professional diplomacy and very active. I'm saying this because the network of Jordanian embassies is very developed in Europe. What is missing, I think, is, and it's the same for a number of European nations, and a number of European countries, don't have a lot of trade offices in their embassies. Even in Jordan, if you look at a great number of European embassies of EU member states, they don't have a trade attaché. So it's a problem that Jordan, as well as a number of European nations, have, that you don't have enough trade expertise in your embassies, and the result is you lack the business intelligence that would allow the private sector to untap business opportunities in a number of countries in Europe. So, well aware of this handicap, the Jordanian government has mandated a number of ministers to conduct roadshows, trips, visits to European capitals ahead of this investment conference. It's a very costly investment for a minister to take, 3 days here, 3 days there, to engage with the private sector. But it was the price to pay to make full use of this investment conference that we are preparing together. Why? Because at the investment conference, the added value of this investment conference will be to offer opportunities for B2B, for business. I'm talking to the business association, to offer you B2B opportunities, to engage directly with European investors. And this is also because we knew that given the circumstances, not many European investors would come to Jordan, that we have come to the conclusion it's better to reschedule the event till the end of the year. I'm saying this also to flag that, as you see, our relation with Jordan is moving to a different level now. Long have passed the days where we were doing, grants, the little tenders, budget support. If we want to maximize, our relationship, we want to move to a model of cooperation with Jordan where we blend. We try to combine grants and concessional loans, as we will do for example, the National Conveyance Project. If we are able to leverage an investment in the order of, 1 or 2 billion, including our support to the project itself, including our support to the contractor for the equities, and of course our support to the government of Jordan to get to a point where it can afford this operation. It's because we combine grants and concessional loans, and we use our ODA, or official development assistance, to minimize the cost of the loan, to extend the duration of the maturity, to decrease the level of the rates. And this is what we want to do moving forward, because it's the best way to amplify our support. And by the way, this is a good example, because the National Conveyance Project will generate jobs. It will create an ecosystem on its own. Numerous Jordanian contractors will be hired, recruited to be able to fulfill this ambition of, drawing a pipeline of 400 kilometers, desalination plants, pumping stations, adapting and upscaling the existing water network. At the peak of this project, which will last 4 years, there will be 5,000 job opportunities in Jordan. And opportunities that will create skills, because you will need qualified workers for this. So you see, a project like the National Conveyance Project is for us a very good model of what we can do. And we would like to replicate this experience in other sectors as well. Energy, as I said when I mentioned the green hydrogen in my previous response, but also in the area of telecommunication and digital. So this is what we want to do, and there is a great level of expectation on the side of the Jordanian government that we can do this together.
Thank you, Your Excellency. لا نستطيع التأكيد بما يكفي على أهمية الشراكة الاستراتيجية مع الاتحاد الأوروبي والدعم الاتحاد الأوروبي ودول الاتحاد الأوروبي للمملكة، والاستثمار في العلاقة متميزة واستراتيجية حقيقة مع الاتحاد الأوروبي. سعادة مدير الإدارة الأوروبية أقدر مني على الحديث عن ذلك. لكن إذا عدنا لموضوع التشبيك والتشبيك الدولي، والهند من أكبر الاقتصادات في العالم، وتربطها علاقات متميزة مع دول منطقتنا ومع المملكة تحديدا، ووجود حاجة حقيقة في ظل الصراع الجيوسياسي، ولا نريد أن نتطرق للسياسة كثيرا، لكن إذا تحدثنا سعادة السفير عن الممرات التجارية وأهمية الممرات التجارية التي تربط آسيا بالشرق الأوسط بأوروبا وأبعد من ذلك ربما، ودور هذه الممرات في تيسير التجارة والتنمية في مختلف مناطق العالم. وهو سؤال لكل المنتدين.
Thank you, Your Excellency. The last few years, especially during COVID and subsequently with all the crises around, one of the major realization has been how interdependent firstly all of us are, and how to build resilient supply chains, and also now people have begun to talk about resilient demand as well. So one of the elements that came through was that we need to find newer partners or build stronger or build upon the existing strong partnerships. And I think last few months we have seen some very positive movement. I think we have a new trade agreement with the European Union, a very substantive one. We also have one with the United Kingdom, and I think we're working on a few others. West Asia, as we call it, or Middle East, as is referred to, is a very important. I mean, for us, it's, as we call it, our extended neighborhood. The ties are so deep and so personal, and that it would be difficult to completely, set aside that part and completely look at it in terms of purely economics. But I think what we have also found over last few years is that there is a huge potential and that needs to be built upon as comparatively younger sets of countries. You know, when we look at the vision of His Majesty in Jordan or the vision of a Prime Minister for a developed India by 2047, when we will mark 100 years of our independence. And there is that similarity in terms of focus on the youth, greater participation of women in the workforce, adoption of technology for better governance, digital public infrastructure, so the more focus on education, employment generation. So all of these are common to us, and I think this was something also, you know, which was in focus when Prime Minister met His Majesty and His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. And some of the areas were actually quite futuristic, especially I think the Prime Minister was very impressed after his conversation with His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. And in fact, a meeting that also captured the imagination of people in India. He spoke about his focus, his commitment to the development and progress of Jordan, and also the focus on such areas as space or youth, or even the welfare of people with disabilities. So all the areas which perhaps in the past were not so much in the conversations are very much there, because this is something that is shared between our leaders. And I think as we build on this this connectivity, better connectivity, like I spoke about the Royal Jordan, but there is so much more. One of the areas of focus, for example, was on tourism and heritage conservation. Now, we have also seen, especially with the youth, that they are looking at newer areas to travel to. And we get so many queries from people to come to Jordan for tourism. These conflicts actually, tend to push us back a bit. But the vision in terms of, this connectivity, providing youth the opportunities for mutual learning, mutual understanding, focus on education. And I think, all of these are stages. And we look at Jordan's location, its geographical advantages. All of these have been subjects of discussion. And I think, when we talk about corridors, in our assessment, and something that even Prime Minister spoke about at a very successful business forum that we had hosted, that Jordan for us would be a natural partner, including in terms of the region. But in all these things, we look at stability. When we talk about diplomacy, I think it thrives in a stable environment. And the ceasefire of today, which hopefully will pave the way for lasting peace, is vital for us to build on these in these arenas. And I think for us, given that you have a very strong partnership with the EU and Europe, we have a very strong partnership with Europe, and we are literally building upon it now. There is a natural convergence there, and we can look at it in terms of providing avenues on either side for Jordan, and something I think which is win-win for all of us. So there is much scope, and I think in all of this, India, Middle East, Jordan is very much in the Middle East, Europe. So for us, all of this is a very much a part of our vision for the future, and very much in keeping with the vision that the Prime Minister, His Majesty the King, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, and His Excellency Prime Minister Dr. Jafar Hassan, all of them laid out during the last visit of the Prime Minister. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, touching upon very, very important issues. Ambassador Naber, your take on موضوع الممرات التجارية.
Thank you, Ambassador. Thank you for kindly outlining the important question, particularly with the Middle East in everybody's mind, being the natural hub between India and the European continent. Having said that, my take is that we should leverage our position as Jordan early on to indeed focus on the strength of this country. The strengths of this country being as the current underlying architecture of the fiber optic system in Aqaba connecting the Gulf and the EU, and thus paving the way towards the added value of the economy, which is the tech sector, which is really a transformative sector where it can revitalize every aspect of the other parts of the economy. That's one, but also, in addition to our tech sector, thriving tech sector, which is growing at the rate of 7% annually, a remarkable feat when it comes to tech sector and involving youth. So many success stories have emanated from Jordan. When it comes to the Amazon of the Middle East, was originally Souq.com, a Jordanian company. Maktoub.com started the first email in Arabic, which was sapped by Yahoo at the time. And the list goes on and on and on now with Jawaka. So that's for the tech sector, which can be of much, much added value. The second leverage should be energy and green hydrogen. In particular, we have over 20 MOUs leveraged in that respect, where we can have green hydrogen, as Ambassador Pierre Christophe quite alluded to in his remarks. There are customers for green energy, and green hydrogen could be one possible corridor between the Gulf, the Indian subcontinent, and Europe. We cannot but leverage such strength when it comes to Jordan. The third, last but not least, we have to outline the natural railway that was historically the Hijaz railway, emanating from the Arab Peninsula, all the way up to Syria and Turkey, and the possibility of connecting Europe. That's one, and the other one could be from Northwest. As you know, the National Conveyance Project, NCP, was originally a regional project from the Dead Sea to the Red Sea. And it was originally involving the three countries of the region, but the NCP was born because the regional one was put on hold. So all what we're saying here is that the corridor has the centrality of passing by through the Middle East, including Jordan. But we can use different ways, coming from north to south, or from possibility from east to west as well. So that possibility cannot be excluded. As who noticed here, the meeting yesterday between the three ministers of transport between Turkey, Syria, and Jordan. A landmark meeting when we discussed the resurrection of the old Hijaz network and the highway. Now that our colleagues are the Syria desk at the Foreign Ministry is very hard working on the door-to-door transit between Jordan and Syria, and also door-to-door to Turkey without stopping at all. So this is quite interesting because it opens the door for connectivity between the Gulf all the way to Europe, and India could be the last pivot in that respect. So we should leverage our strength, our strategic position, as the Minister of Trade and Industry said in the morning, and on these three sectors. Thank you.
شكرا سعادة السفير. Your Excellency.
What I would like to say to conclude is, we do believe in the necessity of this new corridor that Ambassador Samer was mentioning. WTO is no longer, the guarantor for a sound and transparent trade environment at world level. It has led the EU to a number of decisions. We accelerated the negotiations that were in the pipeline for years, and we have indeed achieved agreements with India, Indonesia, Mercosur, Latin America, Australia 2 weeks ago. We are strengthening our bilateral relations with key trade partners, including India. And therefore, you will see very, very powerful economic forces behind a new corridor between India and Europe. And the Suez Canal is one of them, Suez Canal, Bab el-Mandeb. But imagine, you know, the level of connectivity that we require as modern economies. Imagine the vast amount of sectors that need to be covered. Transport, freight, mobility of people, energy, gas, telecom, cables. So there is an obvious need for more networks, not one line, not, you know, the Suez Canal of the 21st century, not one line. It will be a network of network. And this is what we call this India, Middle East, Europe corridor. So it's not one route, it's not one port in the Mediterranean, it's something that needs to take into consideration the interests of all the countries that are involved, starting with Jordan, because Jordan is in the middle of this corridor. So it has a say. It needs to reflect, it needs to advance its own domestic interests, and this is why we are having this conversation with the Jordanian leadership about IMEC, its governance, its the map, the kind of sector it needs to satisfy. And also, and this is also an internal debate for the Jordanians, how best you can leverage this position, this geographic position of yours, to draw dividends for your industry, for your capacity to add value to a number of products, to generate your own value chain locally, in your self-interest. So again, on the side of the EU, and we feel, because it's also something that we discuss at length with our Indian friends at all levels, at the level of the leaders, at the level of the ministers, the planners, the business communities, this corridor needs to happen within the next 10 or 12, 20 years ahead. And in fact, it's much more advanced than what you think, in terms of feasibility studies, in terms of resource mobilization. So this is why we think it's time to have also this conversation with our Jordanian friends as a group of friends.
Thank you, Excellency. حقيقة موضوع الممرات التجارية مهم جدا لقطاع الأعمال ورجال الأعمال. حركة الأموال، حركة البضائع، حركة الأفراد أيضا. هذا موضوع مهم جدا، والأردن منخرط كما تفضل سعادة السفير النبر، منخرط في عديد مشاريع ترابط عالمي دولي وترابط إقليمي أيضا. الربط السككي مع دول الخليج، مع المملكة العربية السعودية، موضوع النقل بالمجمل مع الجمهورية العربية السورية، وإن شاء الله سيكون هناك اجتماع تنسيقي كبير المستوى مع الأشقاء السوريين، وموضوع النقل والربط بقطاع النقل بمختلف أنواعه سيكون أحد البنود الهامة على أجندة المباحثات. أطلنا عليكم الحضور، شكرا جزيلا لكم. رسالة أخيرة من أصحاب السعادة السفراء إلى مجتمع الأعمال حول الدبلوماسية الاقتصادية. ماذا تتوقعون من مجتمع الأعمال وماذا تستطيعون أن تقدموا لهم؟ Your Excellency, Ambassador Zakaso.
I think it's for you. No, I can start. So, I'll just continue from where Pierre left. That there is humongous opportunity, huge amount of opportunity for our Jordanian friends When Prime Minister was here, one of the visions that was laid out was to take the trade to $5 billion in next 5 years. It's something more tangible, and when we speak about economic diplomacy, we have something tangible before us to work upon. And we are also a growing, constantly growing economy and a huge market. So my appeal to Jordanian colleagues also would be to look at India not just as a destination for investments into Jordan, but also as a market, because we are a huge and a growing market. And since we are, the Foreign Ministry and the Jordan JBA are the co-hosts, so my appeal to JBA would be to look at India also as a market. And we are there because, since the idea is to present the embassy before you, if you have any queries, please, my colleagues are actually here, they've been here all through the day. So we are also, responding to queries. We're working with different associations to promote, two-way understanding, because diplomacy is a two-way street, and our idea is to help both the business associations here and in India to be more familiar with each other. We have very similar strengths, in terms of very strong human capital, and there is much work that we can do together. So we call on you to please, we have a very clear mandate from our leaders to build upon this relationship, because their common understanding is there is huge potential, untapped potential that we need to realize. And the sooner we do it, the better for our peoples. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. شكرا جزيلا أصحاب السعادة على هذه الجلسة الثرية. A very informative session. We really appreciate it. ونتقدم بالشكر الجزيل لجمعية رجال الأعمال على عقد هذا المؤتمر مجددا بهذا التوقيت الهام. ونحتاج أن نسأل كما تفضل سعادة السفير كيف تزامن هذا التوقيت بشكل ملفت. شكرا جزيلا. Your Excellencies, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
كل الشكر للضيوف الكرام. احنا وصلنا لهون لختام أعمال ملتقى البعثات الدبلوماسية في الأردن، اللي جسد أهمية الشراكة بين الدبلوماسية والاقتصاد، وعكس صورة الأردن كبيئة استثمارية جاذبة ومستقرة. نشكر حضوركم الكريم، نشكر مشاركتكم القيمة، وبإذن الله هاي اللقاءات رح تثمر عن فرص تعاون حقيقية ومشاريع مستدامة. وتفضلوا على الغداء. نورتونا جميعا. شكرا للجميع.